In the US, the Muslim population in 2025 is estimated to be around 4 million. This represents approximately 1.2% of the total US population. Even if we ignore this official data, according to an estimated data, these numbers can go up to 2 million. But in 2025, something chilling is happening in America. Quietly, without headlines, without protests. State by state, a silent storm is brewing. Behind closed doors, laws are shifting. Budgets are being cut. Mosques are being watched. And Muslims across the nation are starting to feel it. Not from the federal government, but from individual states who are tightening the noose in ways most people haven't noticed. These 10 states aren't officially kicking out Muslims, but they're making life so difficult, so hostile, and so restricted that many Muslim families are packing their bags and leaving voluntarily. So in today's video, we are going to show you 10 US states cracking down on Muslims in 2025. But before starting the video, I want to request you, we put our best efforts to create our every single video. So please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's start. Number 10, Tennessee. In 2025, Tennessee quietly passed a series of public safety bills aimed at so-called foreign influences in schools and community centers. But dig deeper, and you'll find mosque zoning laws tightened, hijab-wearing students being restricted under vague uniform codes, and Islamic studies quietly erased from public school curricula. The state, home to over 95,000 Muslims, mostly concentrated in Memphis, Nashville, and Chattanooga, is now turning its back on them. Despite being hard-working citizens, Muslim families report ICE knock-and-talk raids, arbitrary FBI visits, and aggressive license checks, even against natural-born citizens with Arabic names. Illegal immigration isn't even surging in Tennessee, with only 1.5% undocumented migrants, but Muslim communities are being treated as the threat. At least 4 mosques in the Nashville metro area have reported sudden fire code violations, suspicious property tax audits, and anonymous complaints aimed to shut them down. Several Islamic schools have lost funding under vague foreign influence clauses. Muslim-owned businesses are being visited by health inspectors multiple times a month, while neighboring stores are left untouched. Quiet neighborhoods where Muslim families have lived for decades now face constant police patrols and drone flyovers under the guise of community protection. Local Arabic-language newspapers are being flagged, and at least 2 Muslim charity organizations were forced to shut down after unexpected IRS reviews. Even student prayer groups on college campuses are under new restrictions, banned from gathering without formal permits and faculty oversight. The message is clear. Muslims are being singled out, watched, and quietly pushed out. And it's not just policy, it's pressure, intimidation, and exclusion happening in plain sight. Number 9, Florida. Florida's war on Islam isn't new, but in 2025, it escalated. Under the banner of anti-terror awareness, the state passed a new law allowing digital surveillance of all foreign-language religious sermons, with AI tools scanning for radical content. The targets? Almost exclusively Muslim preachers. Arabic-language khutbahs are now flagged, transcribed, and in some cases, forwarded to federal agencies for further review. Schools in Miami have banned Arabic as a second language offering, and at least 3 Muslim teachers have been suspended for wearing culturally modest attire. One Muslim parent reported her 10-year-old child being asked if they support Palestine in a public elementary school. Florida is home to nearly 200,000 Muslims, yet they're now under digital watch, physical surveillance, and policy pressure. Community centers across Tampa and Orlando have reported FBI visits and IRS scrutiny just for applying for nonprofit status. Several halal restaurants have had licenses revoked after back-to-back inspections, despite no violations found. New local ordinances now require mosques to reapply for zoning every 2 years, a rule that doesn't apply to churches or synagogues. The crackdown is high-tech, deeply embedded, and growing, with fear spreading faster than facts. And Florida's Muslims are feeling the pressure from every direction. Number 8, Ohio. In 2025, Ohio introduced a new American culture curriculum, requiring all schools to teach Judeo-Christian values as a foundation of state history. While it sounds neutral, it effectively sidelines Islamic history and creates an atmosphere of exclusion. Teachers have reported being instructed to avoid mentioning Islamic empires or Muslim contributions to science, art, or philosophy. Muslim students have faced pushback for fasting during Ramadan. One school even denied water breaks, citing a disruption to academic focus. In multiple districts, students wearing hijabs were asked to conform to dress standards under new vague grooming codes. Columbus has seen a sharp rise in anti-Muslim graffiti incidents, especially around Islamic centers, with little to no police follow-up or arrests. At least 4 Muslim families have pulled their children from public schools after being told their religious practices were un-American. More troubling, a proposed bill would make it illegal to accept any foreign donations for religious construction, directly impacting mosque funding from overseas. This means that if a mosque receives help from an Islamic relief agency or international Muslim community, it could be shut down or denied permits. For Ohio's estimated 70,000 Muslims, this law could cripple mosque development, shut down planned Islamic centers, and even force closures of small community prayer halls funded by relatives abroad. Even existing mosques are now being audited for past overseas transactions, creating fear that retroactive penalties could lead to fines or closures. Number 7. Arizona. Arizona's Republican-controlled legislature passed a Community Integrity Act this year that requires all religious leaders to register their sermons with a state board. Though it doesn't name Islam, nearly every application delay and rejection has hit Muslim clerics, with approval rates for imams reportedly 30% lower than for Christian pastors. Tucson and Phoenix have seen a measurable drop in Muslim population since 2023, with families citing relentless state scrutiny, increased surveillance cameras near mosques, and aggressive law enforcement presence. Arizona's Muslim population, estimated at 65,000, now faces mounting obstacles, from background checks for mosque volunteers to school-level pressure discouraging Islamic clubs. Several community prayer spaces have been denied occupancy permits, forcing Muslims to gather in private homes under fear of violating zoning laws. Even youth programs are under attack. Muslim scout groups in Maricopa County have had event permits denied with no explanation. Meanwhile, the state's undocumented immigrant population is under 5%. Yet Islam is being falsely linked to foreign threats in local media narratives. Arabic-speaking families report their children being flagged for language monitoring in public schools, and at least 2 halal grocers in Phoenix have been shut down after back-to-back health inspections, despite no major violations. The climate is becoming increasingly unbearable for Muslim Americans who simply want to live and pray in peace, but instead find themselves on government watch lists, stripped of religious freedom, and pushed out of their own communities. Number 6. Indiana. Indiana is home to roughly 45,000 Muslims, many of whom now say they feel like outsiders in their own neighborhoods. Despite undocumented immigrants making up less than 2.4% of the state population, Muslims are being treated as the face of illegal entry and domestic threat. At least 3 mosques in Indianapolis have reported suspicious fire code inspections, license delays, and sudden community complaints after decades of peaceful operation. Indiana's new immigration enforcement laws allow state agencies to detain individuals suspected of visa overstays without confirming immigration status. This has led to multiple cases of legal Muslim residents being held without cause, including green card holders and naturalized citizens. A controversial move in 2025 banned the wearing of religious garments in driver's license photos, even with federal ID exemptions. Hijab-wearing women are now forced to choose between state ID and their faith, leaving many unable to renew licenses, open bank accounts, or even vote. Local town halls have seen eruptions of anti-Muslim rhetoric, often unchallenged by state officials. Some even cheered by local politicians. Number 5. Louisiana. Louisiana's Muslim population, around 30,000, has become a scapegoat in a state where undocumented immigrants account for less than 2% of the population. Despite this, Muslims are treated as the root of foreign influence, with Arabic language schools facing delayed certifications and unexplained zoning rejections. At least 2 halal butchers in Lafayette have been fined repeatedly for vague code violations, even as neighboring non-Muslim businesses operate without issue. Under the guise of anti-Sharia legislation, Louisiana has implemented laws that ban foreign laws in any legal arbitration. While this technically affects all faiths, it has been disproportionately used to deny Islamic marriage and divorce contracts, stripping Muslim couples of religious rights recognized in other states. Mosques in Baton Rouge and New Orleans report increased vandalism, smashed windows and spray-painted slurs, but few arrests and zero convictions. One imam was followed for weeks by an unmarked car, while congregants noticed drones hovering above mosque parking lots during Friday prayers. The Muslim community here is shrinking, and scared, with families quietly relocating to other states to escape mounting hostility. Local officials have refused to meet with Muslim advocacy groups, calling their concerns exaggerated, and a proposed 2025 bill would require religious centers to disclose all international donations, a move clearly aimed at choking overseas support for Islamic institutions. Fear is no longer silent in Louisiana. It's being written into law. Number 4, North Carolina. This state has gone after education. In 2025, it banned all religious accommodations in public schools, including prayer rooms, fasting accommodations, and excused absences for Eid. Muslim students are effectively being forced to choose between academic success and religious observance, with some even penalized for skipping tests scheduled on major Islamic holidays. Meanwhile, a new zoning bill passed in Raleigh makes it harder to open new religious buildings, especially mosques, requiring extra public hearings and community impact assessments not demanded of churches. North Carolina is home to approximately 40,000 Muslims, but their visibility is shrinking under layers of quiet suppression. In Charlotte and Durham, multiple Islamic centers have had their expansion plans denied, citing parking concerns and security issues, even when requirements were met. Arabic language courses in public schools have been discontinued, and Muslim parents report being removed from PTA boards after raising concerns. Immigration enforcement has also intensified, despite the state having just over 3% undocumented immigrants. Yet Muslim families, even U.S. citizens, are now reporting random ID checks at DMV offices and courthouses. The trend is unmistakable. North Carolina is making it clear that Muslim life, practice, and presence are no longer welcome in public space. Number 3, Idaho. Idaho has one of the smallest Muslim populations in the country, just around 3,000 people, but that didn't stop it from launching one of the most aggressive anti-refugee campaigns of 2025. Refugee intake was cut to zero, and background checks have become so invasive that even U.S.-born Muslims feel profiled and tracked. Community members report being denied housing, job interviews, and school enrollment due to vague security concerns. One Muslim teacher was let go after a parent group protested her wearing of a headscarf, claiming it was un-American. Muslim-owned businesses in Boise and Twin Falls have been targeted with surprise inspections and city code crackdowns, while nearly a dozen zoning permit applications for prayer spaces were quietly denied. Despite illegal immigrants making up less than 1.6% of the population, Muslims are treated as the threat, not because of numbers but because of identity. Public libraries have pulled Islamic cultural books from shelves after right-wing backlash. Arabic-speaking residents report being stopped by police more frequently, even when no laws were broken. One mosque in Twin Falls received 3 anonymous threats in a single week, but no suspects were pursued. Muslim parents now fear sending their kids to public schools where bullying has skyrocketed and administrators look the other way. The state may not be physically expelling Muslims, but it's doing everything possible to ensure they never feel safe, never feel equal, and never feel at home. Number 2, Texas. Texas, with its massive size and political power, has taken things to the next level. In 2025, a new state-run surveillance program flags social media posts in foreign languages for review, again, targeting Arabic disproportionately, with over 70% of flagged content linked to Muslim users, according to leaked reports. The state has seen massive mosque protests, some involving armed demonstrators, but no crackdown on hate groups. In fact, local police have often protected the protesters rather than the places of worship, citing free speech zones as justification. One Houston mosque had its utilities shut down during Ramadan for vague permit issues, leaving hundreds without water or electricity during nightly prayers. Local leaders call it harassment, but no one's stopping it. Texas has the largest Muslim population in the southern U.S., over 450,000, and yet they're being surveilled, profiled, and punished under laws that never explicitly mention Islam. Arabic schools in Dallas have faced surprise audits, while several Islamic nonprofits have had their bank accounts frozen without warning. Hijab-wearing women in San Antonio report being followed in shopping centers by self-appointed Patriot Watch groups. Undocumented immigrants make up about 6% of the Texas population, but instead of real reform, the state is choosing to weaponize fear, and Muslims are at the center of the storm. Mosque leaders now warn attendees not to post prayer times online, fearing that doing so might attract harassment or worse. Halal meat processors have been targeted with excessive inspections, sometimes 3 in a single week, forcing small businesses to close. College Islamic groups are being labeled as foreign influence clubs, facing funding freezes and campus restrictions. Even Muslim cemeteries have faced zoning pushback, with grieving families forced to wait months for burial permits. What's unfolding in Texas is not law enforcement. It's targeted intimidation, and it's happening in broad daylight. Number 1, Alabama. And at number 1 we have Alabama. In 2025, Alabama passed the most aggressive anti-Islam legislation in America. It banned all foreign religious scholars from teaching or preaching within state borders. Even U.S.-born imams who trained abroad are now under review, with state security agencies investigating their sermons, associations, and travel histories. The law doesn't mention Islam directly, but no rabbis or priests have faced interrogation under the new rules. Only Muslim leaders. Muslim charities have been reclassified as foreign influence networks, a label that triggers federal-style scrutiny without due process. Dozens of organizations had bank accounts frozen overnight, while leaders were served travel restrictions, including bans from leaving their counties. A popular Birmingham-based Islamic relief group was dissolved after being labeled a national security concern, despite over a decade of clean records. Alabama has an estimated 25,000 Muslims, yet in 2025, that number is falling fast. Entire communities in Huntsville and Montgomery are being uprooted. Multiple Muslim families have left the state entirely, citing fear, harassment, job loss, and open hostility. Reports have emerged of Muslim students being denied school admission for not fitting American cultural standards, and at least one mosque construction project was halted indefinitely due to an obscure land use clause newly enforced. Arabic language books have been pulled from public libraries, and Islamic curriculum is now banned in private religious schools if it includes non-American values. Muslim business owners report being audited 3 times more often than others, and local mayors are refusing to meet with Muslim leaders, calling their concerns outside interference. One Muslim family in Mobile had their home vandalized with spray-painted threats, but police filed no charges, citing lack of witnesses. Even cemeteries designated for Muslim burials have faced permit delays, forcing families to bury loved ones out of state. There's no mass deportation, no official ban, but the message is clear: maybe Alabama wants Muslim gone. And it's not using tanks or soldiers. It's using bureaucracy, silence, and fear to erase an entire faith from its soil. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.